Premotobre shimama ya mamunyina ha ya mwakwa bado Adom TV Premtobre Kasee so awie ensamasie na brason sauti biesa Adom TV Premtobre Kasee don sheba queen fawason FM netie die tomu edi mwakotini biya wobetini yebekọ Takoradi Apowa ekwan no so enu nso toy ekwan na yirenti nipa woko wona eba obi antumi nkom masa yede munchemu no ebeba Greater Accra Regional Security Council no Wama frase na Center for Scientific and Industrial Research and Animal Research Institute. Wama tena ye wo yi bi nipa bi akosisi adan wo so no wo mu dwini nyina de agu form. Ye be kohwe na afarefo ewo bushia. Yakwa akohwe kwan a wo mu fa so ye wo adwuma so ya no pakora sai enetie. Ye be komra hye beja fie mfi se afede e fotosen ni ken no foriata. Wakoho kwa koyi nsema no eno ne nsem bi ene wi Midday bro Adom TV Premtobre Kasee or Facebook amedase e Facebook/Adom TV Go TV ye 176 ubenya ye wo ho ena DSTV ye 280 mi amesomo e wi Midday afia amankwa tamaklo
ye da say so wa share your video make I will say abrabia wo hwe sa video ye wo YouTube no wo hu adoma na eda so no aye miaso wo miaso wi a chese abrabia obenya kwanya na video bia ye de beto ha no watumi ahwe ne watro say was so ayamia sene beya unua bi so benya bi ahwe abre bia wo ye ne sa video bia ye de beto ha no wo benya bi ahwe medase
medase pa fe ni die kwan so tie se den nsem ni chemo ankasa etie ashankafo ne akwantufo dodo no aka Takoradi Apowa kwan no so efise na nka won ni so ade hunu so mbekọ wakodu baby a wormoko nso brantam bi toy ama ayiri afakwan no yekoso Adom TV Kasee etwaso ekwan a ekọ mensin enkunumu ewo atoye mantam wo Ghana hanom de timamufo ekusuada esu esanse na watwe etwa mu nso etoye na watwe ensu a egusuada e20 no ensuyiri afomanfo bebre na dan wana kwan de esisi adase wonemu a esese wotime soso wonsa na omu nada nantebom esanse nyesa ekwan yi ensu anamu no ebetimi afa wakọ na wo hwese de esisi ahyen akese ensu afefa ahyen nada na omanfo gusuada etwa joa na wochemu se aban emra wansra ban mu ebra ye ne akwantufo ne adrobafo bi onam kwan no so edi nkomo no wonsem bi a wodan na de ne se sesi ada de Ghana de enema ekobone pa esanse sa enema ne hyase e wo honom no enye ne na nko wo hwe ni mu sa aban be hwe aye ni nada man sesi de aba ho nanso besi na oguso ada ebra woto wonsa efre aban
ya hwe do ya nsu secondary school for wapon na waka school dem ma wontum mpoi main secondary school ba nya na bi hwede nsu afa ha nyina apon Takoradi road apon to agrankwante won show funko junction bi a nsu se wa flood na nka Canada ha nsu ofom ko company bi wa da asasana ma company mu we si dan wa block kwa no si se nsu ni si yila onye be bi ara mfa ona na nsu se ya ba ba kan nsu ba 2 hours ni ye da ho gina nsu wa ade wa pon ade nti onye kra ye mpanyifo won mama dan won boyen na do ya man no ko no onye anta we MC ya hwehwa won wo nyina won bra kwani do no mba ye de o si wa pon na funko junction ade
3 years see Takoradi boy marriage Johnson aside Takoradi aside I'm up for Johnson what should they was you are hey also somebody abro amunya munja tono no ya na munja road no then the two plan there tire mu ko fa yi na go pon na go we wi aso no asa afa de a aban ni mpanyimfo ni a from my friend to my boy omu nyina mu nso obo makufo be discover o de aseni boto next year Premtobre we be sanso ya bre no bi se ko 4 years school e kwa ye wi da na school ye wi o se gusu ye bre next 4 years
Rokoso ana ya gina mu ato emantamu na science yiri ya ensu etoto yi efa adehye sei japade enti ato emantamu so for Dr. Kwabena Ochida komensa bapro akomiamia ahodo ensu toye ehawadwen
for the rounds that we've been able to do so far, we are very clear in our mind that the flooding around the St. Mary's School area, which has been perennial, is basically an engineering problem. that needs some funding to get it fixed. We come to realize that we have some things around this area. Over time, I think that those lands have been sold and the permit has been given by the assembly. Currently, as we speak, you see that the rainfall pattern itself has also changed. So the volumes itself have just increased. And that's also a major difficulty that we have to look at as a climate change issue as a country, so that we continue to reduce our carbon emissions and then reducing the temperatures that is generating so much rainfall these days. So I think that is one aspect of it. But so far, with the problem that we have now, it's an engineering problem, and the engineers will have to come and then get us some huge storm drains so we can move the water from the top uphill downhill into the window. And that is kind of what we do.
So how soon?
This is a very huge investment. This is a very huge investment, and definitely we can look at the immediate remedial measures like opening up the smaller drains here so they can move downhill. That's what we can do immediately as an assembly. But as we are also going to fix the main road, we would like to get them to include this storm drain as part of saving the road that will be constructed from here to So it's something that we are going to bring on board as part of the design in keeping this road that is going to be constructed safer and for it to also last longer.
We know that the major road is under construction, but you can see that this short place has been destroyed by the heavy of the rain. Yes.
I mean, call Lord Tevia Hall war at Mantamo, now young shared dear Cosso, Lord, we are uti and Kayamaha, Edase. They say, Miamiana is sure at all, ye, a year say, Yapadiana, what to say?
Yamana didn't say, but the candidate for the Jimmy recorded them also. Dina Yen, Oye ended that on one Takoradi Musa or blockade for Yana passengers, not one to Monko. Yamana didn't be Anipia, Karoko, Caliber, Ibero for Found. Na minister on any uncle for so with Nadin, Waba for Wako Road Nudi, Wako my cars or architect or in a car day reminded that when you ask them to want to man queen, Waterson, Jamaica Snake, Conda, Yamana, the Conda Bank. Menoke said the minister non for Yenate more airport tree, or also is no turn. The same flood issues now we see or say Japan and the airport tree in nature, or Conwako Shem also with my apple. He said the second letter was a year of Caliber, the good dinner, the tonsure of the Dema or so.
Now, a month for no mudding Comoy BS can be said, be my best diasui, baby as and sure fun on near the Osha, dear pan and my fee, and so a cacrabon and Nica Crabiana, a year's enemy.
Only the fact is the gutters, which was in the area the Mason Mary's would not do far. Also, drainage Japana on your photos Akasaka, now did the whole. Until the issue of it, no worse in the actually St. Mary's School, and also work for one friend who are come. Also, operate in cinema because essentially a man or couple more no one and nature, Wabber Carl Quenbo. The actual other side of the woods are companies not due to our set up or her, honestly, no contribute to the flooding. Now, Menoke said, Minister, so they don't know do booby. Now, the shooter, I want to over Shana will be. I want to have a second for the day.
Lord Yanfonsi, na a probonetino, the baby be Musoada or Masadomi Tieno. Mammy and Sake da Selotia, Yamanabuni water, Mantamona, Yatin and Kanamiam Ran crying her. If it's a greater Accra Regional Security Council, no, Ebuwa dying, I would be a woman's so say a C Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, Animal Research Institute. One month as show, I will be a denta, Mensino Emo. Adom TV Kasee etwaso.
Ahobambo for and Premotobre hanom na edi empanyimfo animai ne wode wani atwem wo oyibi adenta kropom honom a adan bi a omanfo bi SCC e wo CSIR fo asase so wodwuri adan ni nada egu omanfo bi akwakotwa fence afa asase ho mwankasa esi wona dan ewo mu Premotobre so afo ene ne empanyimfo de wani twem wo honom no posi adwuma eko no afi asrafo adwuma eko no eni dum je adwuma eko ni bi e kan won ho a ne wakogina asase no so a ogusuada edwiri adan a wasisi wo so ene wo la watoto wo hono mu nyinada egu ebraye ne nkramantam so afo Henry Cote ekasa afa ho no wotwe mu se sisi adan ne bebre wo hono ma wo mo yempo asi awie na won hwe na sa eniemen enkoso ada ne senti wona watiti bebre mu no wakacha won se wa mo nafua mienu a eye donhwere aduanan wotwe so mu nyinada emfifiri sa adan ne mu ansa no wode won fidi aba begu sa biaye ne so adwiri ni nyina egu
amoshi ena CSIR for no omaka ka to abajese enye nhwenye ye nti na Regional Security Council yejina assembly echi because Emranoma Assembly kwan at 936 section 97 Emma assemblies no to mean to pull down or remove unauthorized structures. And so today, standing on that, a friend said, Lucas, no, the Adenta Municipal Assembly is leading the exercise. Said, Beya, Onyami Adoma will secure assassin Akano. Na CSR funds nyomodwuma
nyina mu nsentwofo ebisa ne se asase a wayere ne ho a wotu omanfo free so a wokyere mu se eye CSIR fo asase no se woje asase wi a wonfa ma aban mu mpanyimfo de nanso de wo kan ye ne se wo mo de asrafo na ekwa kogina asase ne so awen honom kopem se eye adwuma yiko beba befa wona asase aye wonema ne senti mo bibiara mfa nto ne tim asase a woji aban mu mpanyimfo bi nti ene woje asase no
mengu sankrofo chocho se ebeto ama government for Mr. Ramo, this is direct, and I can assure you, nobody will come back here to obey BB. It is the property of CSIR. No one decided say, "Bia, a buying projects, and yes, and report the baby see down with her. And yes, ya mean baby see boys quarters with her. And yes, a child, a baby see down with her. CSI for CSIR, and now a buying. say bia agenda 111 po ana bibi ebe bua community ni nyina omutumiye
Mabenkwa ahoma no so na kwame anum edi akire nti yene ne di nkomo ahwe kwame awie yem wo ha edase ede na ekoso sesie ewo ho wo madwiri ni nyina agu asomdwaba
ifia na sha ase ankasa no asomdwe de wo hodida esanse wo hwe police for ni asrafo a ebegu honum na ngofo na yeka so mo ye langat no ba ko kran timi amba o sha se no mo do so pa na afi na excavator no so ebubu dan ne ya wo mun kakra ne se wo mu ana o mo dan ya ebubu no bi no na ewo ho na no ontimi nya hwe sanse asrafo aban mpenimfo ejina ho a o mo bubu dan ne obeka ne se o ne hwe ka se ebi ne mo kasa ya no mo pa tre se ayimfo na wo honum na aton asase na mo and the regional minister said, "Well, I'm for ya ton omato asansira mo ankofo yi ehun akokemi omo yam sen and I say asa say omo abubu dan na wi no after my investigations no ma say one year omo to asase no omo sambe ko omo na enti no me no say dia efide no guso adure dan wo hwe ehwe dan ya aba abubu o she be so akakakra be boso a ebogu no if you beka say asefem nanso ne beka ne sen emrano na achiom dodo na be so mo say adantina omo anya nhwehwemu amfa mo say asase ya mo de to mo say omo nim sa nim de no hura bo say omo kwabo be sa say asase a metoyi wa aban de mo na say asase metoyi asemo ho na say asemo ne so and no mo ya ni say omo ba ko fem 48 hours na aban de mo no
Kwame wa huma no break kakra ti se wote yanka jire ye
mo patre se mo fe baby no mo ba so mo ko mo kro mo mpo a 48 hours so mo a om na yi mo nyama nyina akọ mo kro mo enti pia dwumadie no eguso a ana se demolition eguso om ekoso
enti Kwame se wote menka enkrofo titifie no mu bi eye fie complete a hu se ya painti tiles su bibia ya complete ya dwuragu
efie dodo na ye uncompleted one ya wotim hweso mami ebi so ho a ya complete ya painti nkofo tim nkofo omo ni omo mba mpate se omo ti okra more than 5 years more than 4 years almost is a Shana Mombo.
Kwame mfa unsi hey na anwumre wada Roma de bepie ohono na wode abre yada se papa enti mayenko mrahye bedwafie mu sesie ya mekasai oman foto sani ken for yata gina ho de yi sama hodo bia no yenkotie bi emra.
To ensure transparency and accountability in the use of funds earmarked for COVID-19 mitigation, existing financial management rules and regulations were used to disburse funds whilst ensuring the necessary timelines required in dealing with the pandemic were met. Mr. Speaker, in line with our financial management rules and regulations, all covered entities keep records and subject themselves to internal audit on a continuous basis, as well as external annual audits by the Supreme Audit Institution of Ghana, the Audit Service. Mr. Speaker, in the 2020 Midday Review and Supplementary Estimates, I presented a comprehensive update on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the measures government have put in place to contain it. Furthermore, in the 2021 budget, government presented to this August House the budget statement and economic policy, including a detailed breakdown and justification for the COVID-19 expenditure, including a statement showing the sources of funds and expenditure on COVID-19, and this was duly approved by the House. Again, in November 2021, when I presented the 2022 budget, I provided further updates and schedules on COVID-19 expenditure. Mr. Speaker, I now proceed to provide additional details on the COVID-19 expenditure that I have listed. Support to households. Mr. Speaker, total amount programmed for the initiatives under the support to households in 2020 was 1.718 billion, out of which amount utilized was 1.55 billion. The details include a total amount of 12.1 million for the distribution of packed food in Accra, Kasee, and Greater Kumasi. This includes the cost of transportation of packed food in some suburbs of Greater Kumasi by NADMO. The expenditure for the provision of hot meals during the lockdown served about 2.7 million persons for the period of the lockdown at a unit cost of 4 cedis 32 pesos. A total amount of 42.24 million was expended on distribution of dry food packages through faith-based organizations in Greater Accra and Kumasi. A total of about 470,000 persons received these food packages. As part of the support to households, Mr. Speaker, governments through the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and its agency, Ghana Water Company Limited, provided free water, which initially lasted for the period April to September 2020. Following an executive directive, this was extended to December 2020 for lifeline consumers. The distribution was also carried out by the Community Water and Sanitation Agency and other smallholder water supply organizations. An amount of 556 million was budgeted in 2020 for this program, out of which 456 million was utilized. In 2021, a total allocation of 200 million Ghana cedis was made for the provision of free water and electricity for lifeline consumers, out of which 143 million was utilized. Government also made provision in the budget for free electricity to lifeline consumers and absorbed 50% of all electricity bills for all residential and commercial customers. A total cost of 1.04 billion was utilized for the policy from April to September 2020. Health response supplies, equipment and relief for health workers. Mr. Speaker, the total amount programmed for the measures under the health response in 2020 was 1.522 billion, out of which an amount of 1.049 billion was utilized. The details are as follows. A total amount of 2 million cedis for busing health workers within Accra, Kumasi, and Kasee to and from work for the duration of the lockdown, and metro mass transport. The whole amount was utilized, with 0.7 million going to CAPTI and 1.3 million going to support the services of the Metro Mass Transport Company. A total of 80 million Ghana cedis was programmed to pay 50% of the basic salary as allowance for frontline workers. All requests have been reconciled and paid. Total 1.44 billion was programmed for the provision of PPEs, testing kits, and medical equipment, as well as to undertake community engagements. Other expenditure includes communication, quarantine, and treatment for COVID-19. An amount of 1.01 billion was utilized. Health infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, in the wake of the pandemic, government took a bold decision to provide health infrastructure in the districts and regions that did not have a district or regional hospital. In all 111 district, regional, and mental hospitals, Agenda 111 were programmed for construction. A total of 600 million Ghana cedis was released to begin the construction across the country in 2020. In the 2021 budget, an amount of 779 million was programmed for the continuation of Agenda 111 projects. Out of this, an amount of 763.92 million has been released. Mr. Speaker, government programmed a total amount of 1.2 billion for security operations, evacuation of Ghanaians stranded abroad, and coordination of MMDA sanitation and disinfection exercises. As of 31st December 2020, amount of 875 million was utilized. This expenditure was utilized by the Ministries of Local Government and Rural Development, the Interior, Justice and Attorney General, Defense, National Security, and GOIL. Mr. Speaker, in addition, measures to stabilize the economy after the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, government also implemented programs to revitalize the economy and protect jobs. These include the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Business Support Scheme, CAPBUZ, by the NBSSI, now the Ghana Enterprise Agency, which provided soft loans to 302,000 small and medium-scale businesses across the country to mitigate the economic impact of the pandemic and protect jobs. A total of 600 million was utilized. The Ghana Cares Over Tampa program was launched in November 2020 to make strategic investments in the rail sector of the economy. Total amount released as at the end of 2021 was 539 million Ghana cedis out of the total program amount of 1.5 billion cedis. And the establishment of the Development Bank of Ghana to address gaps in the Ghanaian credit markets, especially the availability of medium and long-term finance for the private sector. A total amount of 853 million has been transferred to the bank as seed capital. Mr. Speaker, other measures include the transfer of 1.5 million to the statutory funds in line with the approved budget to enable them to deliver on their mandate. This was occasioned by the non-performance of revenues largely due to the global lockdowns, and the payment of 1.267 billion to contractors to settle outstanding indebtedness to contractors that were programmed to be paid in 2020 with revenues collected, as well as ease the financial burden that arose due to the outbreak of the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, due to the COVID-19 protocols, the Electoral Commission and National Identification Authority had to increase their registration sites and recruit more personnel to ensure compliance during the registration and voting. An amount of 401 million was transferred to the NIA and EC as additional support to ensure COVID-19 compliant registration and voting. National COVID-19 response to school reopening. Mr. Speaker, in September 2020, while other countries had closed all schools, government, with advice of experts, took the bold decision to partially reopen schools to enable final year students write their final exams under very strict COVID-19 protocols. This was largely successful with minimal infections among the students. An amount of 1.119.73 billion was allocated for mass school reopening in January 2021. This was to ensure that all students and teachers were provided with infection prevention and control items. Total amount utilized was 1.118 billion.
Ntiora kendo foriata na yetene nkafiri mashebe de fie mo na yumre ebeje atna se na fe de mpadifo be kan fa ho bia nso ye de abro. Bayen to Premtobre Kasee no so na yen konsem foforo emu Womo ewo gomwa akoti ewo mfimfin mantemo sa ban osrewo nidie mu a womo kwan no bra na beya ma womo ofisi obi nko obi mma ekwan ni nyina asenti amma ahokeka adwuma mu bibia mu no atosene oni Adom TV Kasee etoaso
Efiri gomwa budumbram eko gomwa potin ewo Kasoo Kipkos kwantemponso ekwan no asai pa Adom Kasee amane boni Kofi Agye ene omanfo bi a wonum ete gomwa koti etwetwe nkomo ene wadi tu dwase ahyen be se duo no ena wonum ka tai epai ewo ekwan yisu a ede nkwanhia eba esenti wadi adesede eto so afa wo hwe akwan ne akwantemponso kwesi amu akwata enim se adaroma omra mebo omanfo wo gomwa koti ewutu breku ene budumbram
tuta nse benye ba bi afa no na afro aba ekwan nim na ma portos akese bebre atoto akoti junction na se ukasa boys ni yen so highways for beton a say nya yen na se ye so omu na se omu yen no mu ma kwa ma won yat enso na flat if say bia we bia ka ni si ma chei and one say kana adan ya ense me nyina egufo stoblim Bideka, run to Kia, woman channel. I had you met a man at the Saturday. It's the highway, it's I buy not to the amphibian and second committee. You found to Abba. After 4 years,
so the road is very bad and there are potholes all around. So I'm sure the bigger potholes, he couldn't see because what is the night. And moreover, there are no street lights here. There are those things can show. Yeah, so that is the cause.
Yeah, you who na side they are no day. I be say so to me share my cement in a road no. I say amma manhole be abeda ho. A day say me ha many car more than 20 ties and a pie. A be ho front and back ni na to me pie. No more be pack wo anymore. Ye nya ba bi kura po ye de impact omo because
enechi ashenkafo bi nso ene Adom Kasee etwetwe enkomo no de to dwase Kasoo Kipkos kwantempo no sesi ehia sempanimfo eyeso NCCA
see after that be brace I'm not a simple bedo a Kasee nyinya accident rough andra ka bedane and they are suka sandane nti penfo yesrem mo hwena mo ye kwan me asa de besi akotia no enye nyinya pa nti penfo mo hwena mo ye efiti last week abepimende Kasee say blue 50 me kura me car ties phone ya papai ama biti minye adwuma me wo ha station ya minye adwuma mi ko bia sisi anu enura kura tanka bi beto ha ana peso ba no ba kwa san beto ha still photos na de amunu ye sina to ma didi ntama yenya we bibi anye we twima family ne eblepa ansa me besi ye tieshen mamadi be me to so kwan no mu senu aka ka agbo ho enya agro akranka ne fa hwini kwan wa ha enta ba ye srew mo shomoda mo ye kwan ma yo why ye srew wa ye kwan so ni from Kasoo to wini ba kwan ne de enye amna nkwa ne gugua Kasee ne tumu anoma emni ato ene ka hwa Kasee be 10 amni ato kwan so
na ne mienko dwukwa ekwan ya ensuo to ye kire mu mienu a hono ampanifo ekokọ ye ho adwuma na ne me Kasee ka kobedie nsoso aye bibia ho obi aka obi nko obi ma efise ka no so niema akwakose ewo kwan no mu eno so aba bedane wo hawo ade ama akwantifo efasa kwan no so bi ne Adom TV Kasee edin komoyi
Assemblyman Owo Jukwa West Abatobro no so Isaac Mensa Senior ede to won mu a etwi ahyen akese a waye wadwen se obefa Jukwai enim se wonsan wachi no wonkofa yamransa asenfo su kwan so esanse kai kese bi abetim ewo kwan no emfimfin ne senti enyaade obema kwan ama ahyen akese afa ekwan no so biem esanse wonum ba obesi ahyen enketwa enso ekwan ensemu a wona Adom Kasee so ede to omanfo enim
andra yumbre na feel like a see at the breti wolo a obesi akọ eye brass Jukwa region asia ne nim no etse na yami Adom abodes no ene nyoma contractor ne dugu mu na edoso ye pa na latrati na goso no isu na 20 no ka Kasee fem pe na emu no agbamara endo yumbre kai besi isu na kite yami Adom a report ma aye police kunifo wa ha ama omu aye so mode aye Tony ka befa tafe ni ma bibi samba ya fe contractor na onam kanso oba na ya kena yika ifro tebesere se ka bi fi akra ba okita heavy duty a onfa asenfo su kwan so na sisi ano passengers car and private cars and use temporary eslemu mention so me fanye ju we dem ase
my ento so na yen komrahye bedwafiem na mrahye bedwafo ayene se kokobo de dwumakuo no womo eba be ye hwehwemu de afa wonwuma bi a wono ye kwan a womo fa so ye no a womo nhyedan hunu mu no womo eba be hwehwem ye bia is mrahye bedwani ene de sansemi ekofie ho
Emrahye bedwafo bi ehwese kokobo de nhyehyeye a wono de baaye se kokko akuafo ekoko akate esiso wo betwa gu asan ama honum adua ebiemu no dwumadi a wode baaye no enhyeda enkoyie Emrahye bedwani Richard Champon editor jase body aba ye akoko podcast wo che ediama akuafo no enyemansi biemu na akuafo no enye bi enti ebeya ankampanifo enye sansem mu enhwehwemu
1.8 million efuo metwa no matwa 1700 hectares omi here 1.8 million plantain acres only 30,000 and omo da momo only 2% okra nte che program no anye successful na sa bank man nya na anye ye probably developer ba ko pe no obeda aya man successful the whole western north nipa ba ko pe no mo say on supply everybody see no say nipa ko odade so how can one individual be supply a plantain acres am the whole of western north
enwechi na Emrahye bedwani wo ya pe kosogu John Jinapo editor jase sisi Ghana koko dua no tia na etikofom
we pay attention to this critical issue because the document I was referring to even talks about the allocations, and if you look at the allocations, Mr. Speaker, a whopping 68 million was allocated for hand pollination and 140 million for these purposes. So beyond the issues that we are talking about, this is a very important issue because cocoa is a main cash crop that generates a lot of revenue for this country. Some of us who were trained as agriculturists, we understand the benefit of cocoa, not just the economic aspect, but even the ecological aspect, the environmental aspect of it. So Mr. Speaker, he's made an application to you that if you may consider probably through leadership, so the minister can brief us.
Nanso Emrahye bedwani wo nhyiaye so Dr. Stephen Amoa editor jase Adom kuma no nyaade wonum ekeka no esanse wonum apenso na koko no kura no ensumpo ena nkampese akuafo enya bi ate.
Other things they need fertilizers and spraying bodies. My brothers have looked out for those things to be transported across our borders. The point I'm making is that yes, it is true. We have challenges today. They shouldn't behave as if their time was even better or equal to our situation today.
Nenso woni nyina mu no presiding speaker Andres Esiama editor aso ye hwe enuane enukwa ho nsamso committee a ewo Emrahye bedwafie enim se onto nsamfre oswafo Dr. Owusuafiri Akoto Emrahye bedwafie no mayi ensem bi ano.
Mame kwaso anyina Emrahye bedwafie na yantoa ensem no eso ene wubete na manya etwe ho ahia yi ebie na emimfo akoto ahye wormo so ne sane nti Emrahye bedwafo nyina adwen aba adwenkromu ya wode afutu okokobo ma Ghana de hie nyina so obibia nhwe no ho yie fise ye ne amama hodo bi ahye so no ye benben nti se si wo ho a se betimi adu ha no so ebenti wo so obi ahwe no ho yie Adom Kasee etwa so.
Emrahye bedwani Watema Central East ni noi north e de ato Ghana fo nyina anim se sisei etutrafo asore ewa man hodo so pa ne senti oma wani na ho na bibia wo behu a enya ne kwan so a no wo aposifo amane ochese woni a wokopie mu wa asore mu anase bebi pii a wo beduru a enipadom etwa ho ahia no no ama wani ada honom se beyi a ubetimi abo ho ban.
Be vigilant, especially in our schools, churches, mosques, Friday prayers, open park, eco park, so eco bompire, all night in the no. I see any down papa. Now, who may be suspicious? What do they say? Ubo Pelibia Mane, and I say police, and our Henry, and I say pastor, and now Imama or Odia Shonen. If he say volunteer information, I'm Abaya, and I say, one boy, home by air police, national security, and intelligence services now. Omuntumi emboy home information here they say ye warm no monsaka into who say obi or say chenkola there or chenkola Bible lessons on your Muslim Quran near there you should know the kind of teachings are Oma in Colano. It's extremely important so we the kind of doctrine or chair in Colano. So then you could be a coma calanta, you could see a decacra, you call Bible lessons, you could see a decacra. Then you know, now so if you could do send a book or how for me, I kind of for Yehuno, who said they take advantage of these avenues that children have access to, and then they abuse the children in that light. We we're indoctrinating a Colano. I'm an dream. Say, no, if you cry now, Papa say, what we want to, what we choose, kind one, who cry, over heaven.
Me nguso angwa brasebe jafiem na chiame hene nemu Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagwin ene ne wode co-sign Emma Transport Minister Kwaku Fori Esiama se to ayato ne nsafra no brebebre mra brasebe jafiem yi nsem bia no awomma no de di kan bi enum yensen ye de beto aso de onhra ne mu ayedin ti womunani na ho Adom TV etwaso Speaker Bagwin Kokoboy Ebaye Ebrana Washenim so afon beba be piem wo mrahebedwafie na ensempo bi a mrahebedwafo ehyenim so ba be yi ano no akoso enne anope wo kohyia ye ehyenim awama na enama na mo ya wotu ye no Speaker ehye eye abroso na wo sisudua esede wo ye no ye tia mrahebedwafie ehyehyeye nto de Kokoboy etwato emma no se wanhye ye a na contempt na wo ebeche no
I will refer the question back to the business committee to reschedule it at the appropriate date for him to answer. We have 20 questions for today, and therefore I will excuse him for today and ask the business committee to reschedule the questions, but give him notice that this House will no longer entertain that kind of behavior. If for any good reason, please, Chief Directors and Acting Chief Directors be told in very clear language that we are not going to accept any language as the minister is unavoidably absent. We are not going to accept that language. There must be a reason, acceptable reason why the minister is absent, not unavoidably absent.
And son Speaker Kokoboy Ebano na Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka ono eye minority chiefship ewo emrahebedwafie ho atwen efie ho adwen asisom ekwanya otonsa efro sofo ya onsi fie ho na enchimu ene anu ya woso de ma wom no wonfa emma.
Speaker, if they wait until the day of the questions, then they do this. Speaker, as you rightly know, the number of questions that we have outstanding are gradually getting out of hand. And so for the Minister for Transport in particular, yes, he used to be one of those who happily come to the House and answer questions. But Speaker, of late, time and time again, so I can recollect that this will be about the third time I alone is raising concern about his inability to appear before the House.
So Shano, Mamini Sankra to the watching the dossier bar, Ebetwaso. So I should be say often. You be here one say. Subscribe, share, like it, and comment. Now videos be brain never grow. So be here for François and show. Open on Sepa, Adom TV, Adom FM. Ya what the mama. Me that's it. Ya that's it. Mo akwa be me Adom TV. Premtobre Kasee na uguso sheno. My ento so na yon concern for fro emu. Wana eton enyemwa ewo mbitri ewo Eastman Prusimensimo ewo North East region one more stress obi amra emeto one more enyemwa ni bi na ban so wona ni enko one more eso sebeya won so adwuma no betumi akona ni mo Adom TV Kasee etwaso
Woshasa edwa Kasee ya ewo gbentiri a omanfo eton emwa ewo honom a eyedwa bi a esopa na akọ etifido mantem so a ehonom na nipa bebre na ekọ honom kodi dwa eye nefu ansia de wetimi di dwa ho na wachi biara edwadifo ewo honom nsam a wode to Adom Kasee anim ne se ubedwa ni mu a edwa ne ye na emabunu bebre honom adwuma ye nanso biaya a wote no ehonom enye a wode to abanyanum se wo mesi dwa Kasee ema wo se de be ye obetna honom atonade ama eso aba mfaso a Ghana fo nada benya won so mfaso ebra ye ne adwadifo yi Kasee ensem bia wodan na di ne se to wode won mo begu wonum sa ade kye no oba beton a obeba no na mo wo mumu bebre na ade wawiawia
de me musu te da ma nyela ibinya na ku fati shebe karla boost bagona ama
dinya me sa ngilge na fito lempa ngi won go to paje ka bago lempa ta dama kaman bin katambale jishe kaman mi gate ma gwan karnyala de ton karnyala de closing no robo nu ma gwan bo ton mesik mu yenkena bon to totally ko movement yasa on to nungula on to yo deza nyira sonsum nzan titimini gomantema za amalala ikane de ko piem na ko to break so dinye shem
ne senti yakwatifie poye mantam agric director ohonom ne kotwetwe nkomo efa nsemi ho a wodi tu da se sesi ada wo mo de ohwehwe pa ne se investors beba na wodi ho aba be hyesa edwane mu bi sede be ye edwadifo ohonom no wondwa no ebekoyie na ne nyina mu no ne waka ne nso wo mo hwese aban ebete sede be ya edwane obetimi abaye ne kese ama edwadifo ohonom wo ho atọ mo Premtobre Kasee de so na yonko asante mantemo na virtual infosec Africa one more at a yes cyber security lab for kra wo Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology sabeya yenyina ye de bebo ye ho eban bambo mu bibie mo emuntu aso Adom Kasee edeba
Emena no mo padwumadi ho entoma e wo University Suapon mu no wo panyinipa wada College of Engineering no Professor Mark Adom Asamoah editudwa say ebeboa ama mabunu dudu no anya adwuma ye wo mra wo ma gentete e wo ho awie
twi mu no emse ade ba ko ameka bia ye beti ase pa kakra eye sakawa na aba no enti cyber security no ebeboa yen ama yetimi abo ho ban kakra ebeboa yen ama se obi kura wo baabi no pese oye bibi opese wo fa obi sika wo internet so wo bank ne ade a cyber security ne beboa yen ama ya ni nyina enti nia center yi be ya boa yen ne se eba beboa yen ama yen students no yetimi akire wo mu niema efa cyber security ho na omo yesa ne nyina no ebinum susu betumi ede ebia adwuma na omso de afanipa ama ya say adwuma ni Ghana say your students 1000 kra no obi abia adwuma no obi afa nipa miensa na je say nipa bebre suso anya adwuma
Opanyin kwantra for that virtual infosec Africa no ora Emmanuel Sechere asiedu editudwa say enam say ema pina eni opepa somdom ho ebehye sa adwumadie no mti no womode enhyehye pa agu akwan ma emugo edemama senebe na ema dodo na ediom ho ebehye mu
Yeah, vision is a bank encourage my manya certifications no. And no University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science, memorandum understanding. We try say if 1,500 of women be on try certification and be free. So that almost many employable skills no free. And that is our vision because in him say this is a safe and valuable profession for women, and to encourage them. To those who don't have the means, certification, free invest in Omanya Jumai.
Nana Awuku Denchambo Amanibuni.
Interior Minister Ura Busdarin so at the Ghana Police Service. It's my phone in your name, sir, 2 city and 1 city, 1J, a free commercial drivers of Hono, 1 Munyai, Western North, a proba day, a share son of the Sansemi, Etuja.
Oswafo wono ene hwe efisem so Ambrose Dairy edi atudwa se na so ye no edi nani atofam a ehu se aposifo bi ejejete mamofo esika ewo ekwantempon so odi atudwa se aposifo a wonom ye yesa ne yo nyina no wonyaye esanse posi adwumayeko ewo man Ghana en wogu ehu fi ochwese 22 cedi a wonom eje no sisei eye wonye wadwuma no eyiye se be ye omanfo so ebebu wo mo wode sa asem wetu dwo wabra okwa probo ewo atoyeti fi Mantemo Regional Police Headquarters ewo se shirioso
2 cities. I beg you. The majority of you are correct. But 2 cities there. Me pa chomunjai. I'm speaking perpetually, you know, but even that one comes from. You know? 2 cities, no. We are prepared. Look, internationally, you are highly recognized. Now, before you pass out, you go to, how many of you have been to Uhunya? Raise your hands. Uhunya. If you see any lady who has go to a gentleman, be careful. If you joke with them, they will hook you somewhere you know. Yes, we want that training to continue. Basic. Yes, you don't have the motorbike unit here. It's one of the things I'm going to raise. The IGP would have been here, but he's slightly indisposed. That's why he's not here. But I'm going to assure you people, that the Ghana Police Service is a service that we should all be proud of.
Enwechi enatoye tifimante muposi penyini DCOP NS Akresimensa editu jase ewumusa akadia wode edi dwumasa aposifo no enoso de nanso woye wafamu de sebeyi a obetimi abomanfo ehoban.
The men and myself are doing our best to keep security at bay. Currently the security situation, I would say, is calm. Formerly we used to know Western North, which is the Secretary area and the army, to be full of murder, ritual murder, to say and what have you. But with the creation of the region, we have been able to manage with the little resources that we have to bring crime at its bay. The only new trend that we are having is the Galamsey and its Minas.
Ora Ambruzari sa probone mun so de ato Ghana fo nyina nim se yehunu bibi ayenka bibi na yemmoa na bambofo nso yentimi emu awo mo na wadwuma awo mo ye de aboban so obetumi adu ho.
Osofa wo hwe fisam so Ambrose Dairy e de ato omanfo anim se sesei say adwumadi aban apa ho ntoma see something say something campaign no omanfo ebo ho ban de nenso immigration service no so asodie kase da won so esanse checkpoints ahodo e wasede se obehwe na obibi obewura oman mu no wahwehwe ne ho ansana omana bewura oman Ghana mu sebeyi a obetimi abo omanfo ho ban but the sansem wetu jo abra wokọ apro ewo toye etifi mantemu.
The Ministry of National Security's campaign, see something, say something, call 999. Let us know who is where. And when the immigration officers stop you, when you are in a bus, and they want to find out who is on the bus, please be patient with them. You are in a hurry. Why are they delaying you? God forbid, if they don't check that and they let you pass, how about if your bus explodes because the wrong person is on your bus with the wrong piece of equipment? Please do cooperate with our security agencies. Of course, I also take this opportunity to caution our security agencies to be professional in the way they deliver their services.
Enwechi na toyeti fimante muswafo Richard Eba Oben enso editor waswafo yenim se sese dum jadwuma eko no wonum hia kade pa enti wonhwe no mo awonum.
As I talked on with the fire engine is broken down there. So when there is any emergency, it will be a huge challenge for us to respond to that. The engine in Serio, also the regional capital, also is broken down. So we have had to call on the one from Adaboku right there, Bia East. So that's the one we are hanging on now for the entire enclave. And that for us increases our level of threat to properties and life. So that is that.
Chocho na yedu so ye kosa wa prempe ho ewo 37 na se dom kwa benyamra shebedwani adwo asafo oba na wo mma no omuhunu ne se adwenkyere Ghana fo yi ne se wa prempe edi nkomoi
efia ene asema ye bisa ne se eye honorable adwo asafo se de se committee ni bisa ne nsem se the entire na parliament so me yin semano enso wo ma ye no na ye bisa Ghana fo bi na we ye chine nso ye be kwa ne constituency wo hu na hofo no ye re omo nso adi nkomo ebisa omo adwenkyere efa sasem no enti de ye bisa na Joseph se waba enso committee na friend emre bebre se omra me yin semano wonko e de be na wo kan wo adwenkyere wo ho ne sen
ipa che ye frame dwili mi wo 37 na mbon pese me che se sister onye adwuma ni bi mu a Madam Pacho kache Ghana for na yehu na so bedo wekunjwa ne beto ho afato ho because say o man na mo bi e kasa emu aye say una utua food feed for so ka say wu nu ebede na etua mo ka ni nyina kwa against nana ni SNPP aban na nye because you MPP ni e wo say wo ya de eje we ka say MPP for ya de wakotra mo be de etua mo ka say o mu nyo obi agi ni pay Ozo akwatena baby waba na ye frɛ wade wo be ka kire Ghana fo onye adwuma ne biema fa kunjwa ne to wo ne Ghana fo ye hu de ye beye Miss sister dear sister na ye no po de me kura ye me ngwanwa me ntina se de ti na so oye sa so we na adwuma no onye biema onka na fe ye nsesa no me kura wa chempo na na mesra na na se me pa ne cho ye boy MPP fo achi dodo
on sesano near Hontoya near Brema Bimu Akatuani Adi Bebre send your Mrs. Iken Akem into a Monsesano near so a man will be an idiot won't be a 1 year dear and I say mine a moya day media queer mercy me future for your mind.
Ah, the Abacana say you go to Jogu form. Yes, address a four. Address a four, your bat. Address a four. Address a four, or your bat time. Yes, so you go to Jogu form, or bat for go to Jogu form. And yes, sir, said the Adom Quabina for, and ya do, or the vim, on the 2 about the mount, as I'm Ray and car. Parliament, they be a flower alcohol, and they flower Parliament. I won't call. Yes, so as I near 1 PP 40, as I near say MPP for ye. So, yes, so bad you are cotia. And so, yes, I can scan and I was saying, T.S. Royal Poucho, but Parliament, my own consul one, catch a nothing made in the tour. Committee, ne person more friend, now obey ye someone with the Antiana on back Parliament, and some more friend almost say on their far quite be brace so on ma. Intino so omba dia omampenyi for bet me aya intino odin nyama beguo no on don fanguo because position ne kwa na ebi mope inti so no omma onka anasa onfro phone so no fanto ebi mbaba onfro phone so no fan ni dibre no ento honom yo afia me gidi se ebi mo owo bibi kan brade ye bi sane se honorable adwasafo on say first no na omba parliament say wa ba enso committee ne frɛ na bi sane se edi enti na na omma enso mo frɛ na omo de afa kwan bebre so onko omo nyɛ se asa to omo so aba na yi omo firi ho disi aba na yɛ to Ghana ha no yɛ nya fa so bi amfiri so yɛ to aba no wi ampanimfo no a na yɛ yie na yɛ kɔsala awie mo to aba no na yɛ bre disi omo nya sika wie ti de omo pɛ no omo bɛyɛ ti aba to Takoradi ese keja ehu hia e kire se nipa no koto aba ma na wo wi ni wie a ono benya bibia frim wo wo nya hwe frim so ehu sisi o ma ye ye nti de o mo pe no o mo ye enti afia baby adun de ye de business ye hwe se do me kwa benya fon so ye betimi akọ no mo nsi anu o mo adi nkomo afasa asem ti baby aye adu de mo na ye amogye soma ye beje so say
Sɛ wɔ prɛmpɛ ɛdɛ yɛkɔtee ne nka sɛ wɔne amanfo edi nkɔmɔ 37 na nwumere de yɛbɛka akyire bia nso yɛde bɛbrɛ mo yɛnto a Premtobre kaseɛ no ɛso yɛbɛtoa so de a ma menye sankrato yi mekwaba
yɛda se so wahwɛ yɛ video yi mekae wo sɛ abrɛ bi a wobɛhwɛ saa video yi wɔ YouTube no wɔhu adɔma na ɛda so no ayɛ mmia so womia so wi akyɛ sɛ abrɛ bi a wobɛnya kwanya na video bi a yɛde bɛto ha no watumi ahwɛ nea watwerɛ sɛ wɔ so no so ayɛ mmia sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a wonua bi nso bɛnya bi ahwɛ abrɛ bi a woyɛ no saa video bi a yɛde bɛto ha no wobɛnya bi ahwɛ meda ase
to a Premtobre kaseɛ no so na yɛkɔ buzua no fishing community asum nipa bɛɛ sɛ 2000 na anopa wo mo sɔre a sɛdeɛ subonto no simpona no hɔnom ne adeɛ no meka sɛ deɛ maame kyerɛ diamond abonani akɔhoma wɔ hɔ deɛ kɔ so twa bi mfonyini de amaye
so adwuma mu te sɛ
adwuma mbɛkɔ
pacha onzo te sɛ
yankopɔn adam
na yɛba yɛ ho sɛ mo nwe net no a mo de kɔ nsuo so no mo de den na yɛ net no
abrɔfo no ɔyɛ wɔde ba abrɔfo no ɔyɛ wɔde mu ɔmfa no wɔde go store na yɛkɔtɔ a yɛba na ɛda ahoma no atena sɛ na yɛde sombo no agu no so no ptc no yellow and red no
sa mo de kan de mo akɔtɔ no ho anam de ko
na yɛde aka ho yɛayɛ ho adwuma sɛnea mbɛda na leyɛ no nti yɛwɔ sombo no wɔ down na ptc no wɔ top but ahoma no yɛde buduam na yɛda anwen na no nti anwen na no na ɛtumi de yɛde kɔnsuo
mo kɔnsuo so a ɛtumi te ɛma mo ntumi fa nkyena
ɛtumi te ma wo ntumi fa nkyena
deɛ na ma ɛtumi kɔba sa
ɛtumi ba sɛ shape kora ɛtumi fam na ati wohunu nti bɛyɛ dɛ wontumi fa nkyena ma no nyɛ yie
abrɛ bi a mo kɔ a na kyɛ sɛ mo wɔ spare
because yɛkɔ na sɛ ɛfi yɛ nsa saa ɔwɔ sɛ yɛpɛ obi no bɔsɛ bi na yɛkɔtɔ foforɔ nti yɛnyɛ bi deɛ a ana ɔwɔ sɛ yɛhyɛ ɛtu adwuma no so because yɛwɔ na ɛti bi ana no boɔ ebi kora hɔ 4 million ebi 3 million one year kora we use bɛyɛ 100 and 150 net and sana wotuma the other what they start
yeah so say ebia example this is almost pono what I say any problem because you change nyane a change to ye den a nambra a den be den obi disu
Mayenya no so na Premtobre Kasee no yem fancy ha a feature story ya ma Mr. Diamond ye ntino ye pone ho a eyemu a munim se ye bebre musikodo na ye de abramo medi afia amankwa tamakolo mi kwedie na sa gudie mu nsam fire for fire etwaso